Okay, on to the disassembly of the receiver, which obviously contains the spring, the piston, the safety mechanism, trigger. So it's relatively simple construction. I'll close in on this end so you can see what holds it all together. So basically you have three fixing points. You have this nut here which holds the safety in. You have this pin which is the main pin that holds the spring under pre-tension, and then you have this little pin at the back which holds the safety knob, for want of a better word, in place. So what we're going to do first is we're going to remove this, which will allow us to take this plate off, which is the safety mechanism plate. Then we're going to pop this pin out, and that will allow us to take the safety knob off and the back plate. And then we get on to the main spring assembly. So this is just a 9mm spanner, and I don't think it's that tight. No. Good. Take that off. Note that there is a spring washer underneath. We should be able to take this off now, I think. I think this comes off. I thought that lifted off. Let me have a closer look. Well, it rather helps if you pay attention to the video that shows the disassembly. This. Now, before you can remove this, you have to remove this pin here, and according to the guy in the video, it should just push out. It's not tight, so I think it comes out from this side. Yep, there we go. Well, almost. Right, might need a gentle tap to actually get that out, but I think you can see, there you go. We'll get that fully out. Right, now once that pin's removed, I believe you can turn this through 90 degrees and pull that out, which is the safety, and we can also pull this end cap out. We're getting there now. Now this should come off. There we go. And this little metal block as well. So come out a little bit. So that's all of that. Now the next thing is to remove the trigger spring, which I think is just on two guides, one there and one there. So hopefully if I can press that, I should be able to pull that off. And then the next thing is the slightly tricky part, which is to take this pin out, but at the same time we've got to relieve the pressure because there is a bit of preload on the spring. But apparently what we do is put this little block back in, put this back in, and that also will hold the main spring in place, and then whilst applying pressure on it we can knock that pin out. At least that's the theory. Well, amazingly I managed to get the trigger spring out without firing it across the workshop, so that's a bonus. Now what we've got to do is get this pin out, and then we can take the spring and piston out. Now apparently when this is screwed in, it also holds the spring in place, so we can now safely, hopefully, knock this main retaining pin out, which also holds the trigger in place. So far nothing on this has been really tight, so I'm hoping that this will come out quite nicely. Well, that was very easy. And there's the trigger. Two parts of the trigger. I think the main part of the trigger is that bit inside. This is just an outer shell. It's also been very well greased and oiled, so quite pleased about that. There's our pin. Yeah, I need to tap that fully out. And then we've got to get the spring out. Okay, so I didn't film the removal of tension on the spring because obviously when you're dealing with air rifle springs under tension, things can go horribly wrong, and in my case they generally do, and they fire things all across the workshop. However, I was very lucky with this one. The basically the piston assembly here, or the bit that pushes down on the spring, that was quite tight in here. So even though I had a bit of wood in the end to try and hold this, when I undid the nut, it didn't all fire out. In fact, I had to tap this gently with a drift to get this piece out, so the spring tension was released quite pleasantly without any horrors happening. Right, so there's that bit. Now what we've got to do is hoist the spring out. And we'll see what state this thing's in. It's very, very greasy. Oh, there we go. Look, that's perfect. It's not sagged, it's not bent or warped or anything. So, and it's obvious, and we know it's applying plenty of power, so that doesn't need to be replaced, which is always a good thing. And now, hopefully, we should be able to get the rest of it out. There we go. It's very well greased, which is great. I'm getting it all over my hands. So there we go. So that is the piston, and there's the seal on the end, which is leather, and it looks to be in very good condition. I'll have a close look at that later, but no, I think we're all right. I mean, you know, this can probably just go straight back in when I've finished, you know, doing work on the receiver body. So yeah, good stuff. Okay, so before we get into cleaning up the barrel and the receiver body, I'm going to clean the barrel, the inside of the barrel. Much easier to do when the barrel's not attached to the actual rest of the rifle. So I've got it in the soft jaws. I've got my cleaning rod through the barrel, and at the other end I've got some cleaning patches. I'll zoom in on those so you can see. Now, as a rule, I use 2 patches in the rod for a 177, and I use 3 patches for a 22. But of course this barrel is actually slightly bigger than a 22, so I think 4 would be too thick, so I'm going to go with the 3, which I would normally use for 22, and we're just going to pull it through dry and see how much muck comes out. And then if it's really, really bad, I might well put a little drops of acetone on the next lot of patches and then pull that through and turn it at the same time. That gives the inside of the barrel a really good clean. Right, here we go. I am turning the rod slowly as I pull the patches through. It's always a good idea. There we go. So let's have a look. Well, that's actually not too bad. Oh, I've seen patches come out almost completely black, and obviously there is a little bit of gunk on there. But that's actually not too bad at all. So I'll do that a few more times until they're coming out reasonably clean, and then that'll be the inside of the barrel cleaned.